Hey guys, so I'm gonna share with you how I have learned to can green beans. So I've looked up a lot of information. I've Googled, I've Pinterest, I've YouTubed it. I am not a canning expert. This is my third time canning in the past like 2 weeks. So I was blessed to be able to get a bunch of stuff from my mother-in-law. So some things that you will need that are not required, but something that you might want to look into is a canner or a pressure cooker. So I have this one. I don't know the size of this. I can't remember the size, but this one will hold, I can't remember how many jars it was. 4, 5 jars? Maybe 6. I'm not really sure. But it will hold a good amount of jars. And I have a bigger one right here. That's getting heated up. You will need some towels. So when you're removing them from the boiling water to some surface, you want to put them on some towels. They sell all this stuff at Walmart in the canning section. This is my mother-in-law's, so it's kind of like I get to use something that she used with her mother, so it's kind of nice. So you just need one of these. These just go on top of your jars to fill it, to make it less, mess, which I don't think it's actually like a requirement or like it's a needed thing, but everybody seems to have one. So I think it just makes it easier. So to go with the jars, of course, you'll need jars of the size that you want. These, of course, which I'm grateful. These are ones that my mother-in-law has. So I'm using jars that she used with her mother, and I'm guessing her mother used, which is really cool, but you can reuse the jars. So that saves you money after you start buying them. You will need to buy the lids, which these just come in the little pack from Walmart. There's 12 lids in here. Not sure the cost. I cannot remember that part, but you will need these parts. I don't know if this is called the lid or not. But you can get packs of the lids and the tops together. You can buy the little metal stick that has little metal rings so that when you're picking these up, because you don't want to touch anything once it's sterile, you don't want to touch anything with your fingers and cross-contaminate anything. So this was what my mother-in-law used, which is funny because this right here, if you can see, it says Even Flow. This is what she used, or what came with baby bottles when, back in the day when they boiled baby bottles. So she just used this to pull these out of the water so she didn't burn herself. But I'm thinking of actually going and getting the metal thing because these get stuck together like in the water and it's hard to get out. So, but you can just use tongs, or 2 forks, whatever you got. She gave this to me the other day. This is to tighten your lids on there, which is kind of cool. But after researching, I found that it's better to store your jars without these because this will make it rust and get all nasty. She also did not have one of these. She said they just pulled them out with like a paper towel or a towel around the jars. But this was like $3 at Walmart, but this just pulls the jars out of the water and places it where it needs to go so that you don't burn yourself. So I do highly suggest one of these. So the only requirements are something to process your cans in, the jars, the lids, these lids, something possibly to get these out of the hot simmering water, and then one of these. This stuff is relatively inexpensive, so it's nice. So once you invest $3 in this, you won't need to do that again. So it, will last a while. And then towels, which I already said. So, and you'll need the product that you are canning. So today I am canning green beans. So this was about a 5-gallon tub that we just got 2 days ago, which I was going to use the pressure cooker, but our pressure cooker, what is it? The gauge on top of it is off by 2 pounds. So we're ordering a new one, but these cannot wait for that gauge to get in. So I'm just going to do the water bath style. Now I'm going to say this and put this in the description so anybody can see it. A lot of people that are researching this stuff, they do not suggest doing water bath canning for green beans. Even the lady I met with yesterday, she said no amount of boiling will kill the bacteria in there. A lot of the recipes that I found, they're only processing these for 30 minutes, which with the pressure canner, you only have to do 25. With the boiling water, the water canning, it takes longer. This takes 3 hours. This is what their canning, the Ball Canning Blue Book, I forgot what their little book is called. It says 3 hours to process. So if you're doing this, and I read so many comments where people were like, people that were 90 and 100-year-old now, they didn't have pressure canners back then. They had stuff like this. They just put them in boiling water for a really long time. So I'm just going along with my mother-in-law. She did it for years. Her family did it for years. Her husband and my father-in-law did this their entire lives. This is just the process that you go with. People back then did not have pressure canners, and they had green beans. So I processed mine for 3 hours, and it's at a rolling boil the entire time. So what I'm going to do now is I have my water trying to come to a boil, which is going to take some time because this is a really big pot. I'm going to get these snapped. So with green beans, you want to take off each end. And if they're long, you just want to snap them in half. And I'm going to wash them, and then I'm going to blanch them. Blanching is simply just putting them in boiling, simmering-ish water for about a couple minutes, and then taking them out and putting them in an ice bath. So this is the lengthy process, is doing the bean, like actually caring for the beans. That takes some time. The actual canning process, the only thing that takes a long time is boiling it for 3 hours. But doing this, it's kind of fun and relaxing. I've enjoyed doing it so far. We've done one thing of green beans already, a whole set of jars. We've done apple butter, and now I'm doing green beans again. So let's get started. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Okay, so the first thing that I am doing is washing my green beans so that I can start snapping them. I also want to add that I'm washing everything that is coming into contact with anything that is going to be touching the green beans. So I have just finished washing my sink. I use dish soap, hot soapy water, and baking soda. So I've washed that really good so I can wash these, and then I'm going to wash this really quickly. This is what I'm going to transfer the green beans into. These items I'm going to re-wash. They've already been washed, but they've been sitting out. So I'm going to wash them right before I use them, and then they'll be clean. Now, my jars are in here in the dishwasher. I did sanitize. I've washed them, and they've been sitting in here, and it's, you know, semi-warm. So I'm keeping them in there because they're still, whoop, as you can see, there's still steam in there. You do not have to do this. You can just wash them with hot soapy water. My mother-in-law said that she would wash it with hot soapy water, and then she would just lay them in the oven, in a warm oven. So you can cut it on the lowest setting for a little bit and then cut it off, and then just lay your jars in there. And then you can just take them out as you need them. So I'm gonna get started with washing the green beans. Okay, so we're about ready to get started. So I've got everything prepped. These have just been washed, and I just laid them on my towel. I have my green beans right here next to me. I have my little transfer thing. My jars are in the oven, which was on warm. And then I have everything on my stove. Let me cut the vent off. Ready to go. So I have my lids and the tops, I don't know what they're called, in some, you don't want this boiling. You just want simmering water. So it's getting up there. So I'm going to cut that down. And then for green beans, you have to top it with boiling water. So this is pretty much done by the time I fill the jars. It'll be boiling. And this is getting there. Might take a while, sorry. I'm just making sure everything is on where it needs to be. Oh, I need my salt. This is optional, but they do suggest adding a teaspoon of sea salt to every jar. So I'll do that last. I'm gonna get my teaspoon out. So everything is ready. So I'm gonna pull out my jars, fill them, put the water in them, and then boil them. So let's get started. Okay, so now we have all of our green beans in the jar. So I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that you have to use plastic. You cannot use metal. I'm not sure why, but I just read that. So what you're wanting to do is just get the air out of your jars. So you just stick, they have a special tool for this, but I don't want to buy it because I could just use this. But it gets the air out of it and it actually makes more room by just kind of moving the green beans around. If you smash them, it's okay. And see, it actually makes more room right there. So that one's done. Ooh, some of these are really hot. So I'm just gonna do this to the rest of them, and then we'll put the lids on, and they'll be ready to can. My timer just went off. Do you see what time it is? It is 9:10. So I've got all my mess cleaned up from earlier. And mine, I did mine for 3 hours and 30 minutes because it had slowed down boiling and it took it a while to get back to boiling. So you want it to be boiling, or you know, a good sim. I'm pretty sure it's boiling, but for, you know, the whole time. So you don't want it to just sit. Be careful if you're using this. This is going to be hot. So do you see inside the jars? That's what it's going to do. It's boiling inside the jars. So it's so cool to watch, but I've got it off. Maybe I'll just slide it over. Get it off the burner. There we go. And I had to open the windows over here. I have the fan going and I have this window because it gets so hot in here. I'm excited to use the what is it? The pressure canner. So I'm going to give these just a couple seconds, and then I'm going to use my tongs, or you could use a thick kitchen towel to pull these up. My mother-in-law said, I think she said with her pressure canner, she just like, once she takes the lid off, I think you can do it just with the lid on. You can just leave it and let it sit like until it cools completely, but it is late, so I'm not going to be doing that. So yeah, so I'm going to pull these out, and I have my towel right here. So that's why you have this, because you have boiling hot jars, and especially if you have like a marble countertop or something that's cold, the cold and hot will react and could break your glass. So I have my towel right here, and I'm just going to lay all the jars in, and we'll listen for the popping sound. they're all out. If you don't want to really do anything with them, definitely have them in the middle of your counter or somewhere where your kids can't touch them because they are hot. As you can see, they're still bubbling away inside. So you don't want to touch them. And in just probably a few minutes, you're going to hear them sealing. So you can actually see how this is like stuck up right here. You see it looks like a little bump. It will sink in and you'll hear that little sucking, popping sound, whatever it is. But they're all done. So after this, you just sit and wait, and once they're cool, then you can store them. The best way to do it is store it with these off. They do better not on, for like rusting and getting nasty. So we're all done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up and we'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.